Good morning.
Good morning.
This pamphlet you all got this morning, passed it out. I'd like for you, the head of the household, to read it, and then let the spouse read it. And then do whatever you want with it. If you want to give it to somebody, or give it to a church, or a dental office, or Home Depot, or wherever the Lord leads you. I think you'll find it very interesting. I got it when I, 3 months ago, when I took Ulrika to the doctor, and it was in a doctor's office. And I got the pamphlet, I read it, it really impressed me, and I asked the pastor if he would read it, and got permission to pass these out, so thank you. And Ken, you want to talk about it also?
I can just for a second, I don't take away from you. But these are the same, it was really interesting how God worked things out. I came this morning, students start couples Bible study, and the study is on that book. And I had ordered books too, and they aren't here yet, and Jerry beat me to it. Well, God beat me to it. Jerry, I went in and said, what's this? So everybody's got one. So now, if you are interested, we are going to do an really in-depth study on this whole book. And that starts at, what time? 9 o'clock. Okay? Over here in this room.
On Sundays.
Huh? Oh yeah, on Sunday.
Okay, I started going to church in my mother's womb. I was a Lutheran. The first experience I had with the Lord, I was 8 years old, standing in front of the bed of my grandfather. He was dying of cancer. I had a stroke 4.5 years ago, and I get very emotional really fast, so please bear with me. Grandpa chewed spark plug tobacco, and the cancer had eaten all his face out and on his throat, and he was literally starving to death. I'll never forget it.
Thank you, Lord. Amen.
I stand here at the front of the bed, and he got a smile on his face. He raised his hand, he pointed above my left shoulder, and he said, "There he is."
Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord.
And his hand dropped and he died. Or he went to sleep.
That's right. Amen.
In 1963, I went to Germany, and I went to really to find myself a German wife. I bought a new Volkswagen, and one evening, I and my friend went to this guest house, and we met a German guy, or an Englishman, who spoke German. And these three girls were sitting at the table, and so I bought them a round of Coke. Well, I found out later that if you buy a strange girl a drink and they take it, if they drink it, they'll go home with you.
Oh,
Needless to say, they didn't drink it. But anyway, during the course of the evening, we invited them, the three guys, we invited them to go out to the base, to the wine fest out there, if they'd like to go. So they said, okay, so we all six got in my Beetle, and we went to the base. Well, Ulrika happened to be the last one to be dropped off at her house. Now, she was supposed to have been home at 9 o'clock at night, because she was 18. Well, she put the key in the door, or tried to put the key into the door, but it wouldn't go in because her parents had the key on the other side in the lock, so they couldn't put the key in. So when they heard try to get the key in, they unlocked the door and they opened it up and they said, "Where have you been?" And she said, "We met these Americans." She got beat so bad she couldn't go to work for a week. Anyway, to make a long story short, I ended up becoming, well, with her parents really good, and everything worked out really good. And anyway, one afternoon we were driving down the Autobahn, and I reached over and I put my hand on just above her kneecap on her leg. And she looked at me and she said, "This is verboten." Well, I knew what it meant, you know, this is forbidden, but I said "nix for staying," which means I don't understand. She looked out the window for a couple seconds and she looked back at me and she says, "No parking." Anyway, December 2nd, 1964, we were married in a little church in Ramstein, Germany. I'm sorry, in a little town in Ramstein, Germany, by the Bürgermeister, which is the mayor. And then 2 days later, that was a Wednesday, and then 2 days later, on Friday, we were married in the church on the base in the eyes of the Lord. So today, we've been married 54 years. And Tuesday, we celebrate our 108th wedding anniversary. She can't figure that out yet. Anyway, at 65, about in August or so, I got discharged. Came back, brought her back to the States. And, oh, by the way, I proposed to her through I bought 2 dictionaries. I bought a German to English and an English to German dictionary. And we each had a dictionary to talk with, because she didn't speak English and I didn't speak German. So anyway, we got to the States, picked up my car. We were in New Jersey, really hot, no air conditioning. And we're driving down the road, and there was a big A&W root beer sign up there. She said, "Beer!" She said, "Beer!" So I whipped in there, and I got her a big mug of that brown beer with a big head on it. I gave it to her. She took 3 swallows of that, and then she spit it all over the windshield, all over the dash, all over her clothes. And to this day, she won't drink a beer. Real beer. Yeah, we ended up going to California. And over the years, we bought a home. I started an electrical contracting business. And raised 2 boys. One day, Lorna comes driving down the road. The boys were in the back seat. They were 6 and 8 years old. And this guy cut her off. And she goes like this to the guy. And the boy says, "Ma, you're using the wrong finger." I suppose I got to say 10 Hail Marys after that one. I was head out to usher at the Lutheran church down there in Azusa. During the service one day, this bum came in and sat in the back row. And he was pretty raunchy. And after the service, everybody just kind of ignored him and walked out. So I went up and I introduced myself, and I asked if he would like to come and have lunch with my family. So he said, "Okay." Well, Ulrika took one look at him and she was really upset because we got white leather interior in our car and he was bad shape. But anyway, she got over it. So we took him home, and I offered him a shower. I gave him a shirt, a pair of shorts, and told him what the articles were. And about 20 minutes later, he'd come out of the bathroom, and he was a total different person. I mean, his hair was combed, he had teeth in his mouth, he was shaven, smelled good, and cleaned up, you know. And he come in the living room and he started telling the boys about how they could survive in the desert, and how they could find water and how different kinds of food and everything. So then the wife called for lunch, so we came in and sat down. After lunch, he says, I gotta leave now. I said, where are you going? He says, oh, up by San Bernardino. Well, that's 35, 40 miles from where we live. And I insisted I wanted to drive. No, he didn't want me to take him, and I insisted. So we got in the car, and back then they didn't have freeways up in that area. So we just took Foothill Boulevard East, and we drove for quite a long time. Well, then we ended up out in the farmland. There wasn't any houses or anything around for 4 or 5 miles. We come to this intersection, and there was no traffic signals, no stop signs, no nothing. And on the southeast corner of this intersection, they were building a building, and they'd asphalted around it, but it wasn't striped or anything. And so he says, I'll get out here, he said. So I crossed the intersection, I pulled into the driveway into this building area. We said our goodbyes, and he got out. I drove around the building, and he was gone.
Thank you, Lord. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Jesus.
I told the boys, we just entertained an angel.
Amen. That's right. Thank you, Lord.
Amen.
That's right. Amen.
In 1977, I turned 40 years old. My boys were 11 and 9. I didn't want to raise them up in that big city environment. And I hated the earthquakes, and we had a lot of them right then. And not as bad as Anchorage, but anyway, lost my train of thought.
Is that when you moved to Spokane?
No, before that, no. Anyway, I decided that I wanted to move up to Spokane. So I sold my business and put the house up for sale. Bought a big moving van because I was too cheap to have somebody move me. And I told the wife to mark the boxes, write on them so that we knew what they were when we went to unpack. And I said, put the boxes against the wall in the formal dining room, on the south wall of the formal dining room. So one morning, this neighbor lady come over, and she had a cup of coffee. She went into the dining room and sat down. And she said, oh, Rick, she said, what's in that box there? And the wife said, sheets. S-H-I-T-S in big black letters. But you know, now I'm not, we're laughing with you, Shotzi, we're not making fun of you. I mean, she had no English, no schooling, no nothing. I think she's done very well. Anyway, we moved up to Spokane, Washington. I didn't know where we were going up, but I knew we were going up there, because I come from Coeur d'Alene. And anyway, on the way up, I stopped at Redding, California, and I went roller skating. And during the roller skating, I fell on my shoulder, and after that, I had to wear a t-shirt at night. So anyway, we got to Spokane, and we bought a house. I started a building business, like general contracting. And we joined this little charismatic church. It wasn't even a church building, it was a community hall. But it was unbelievable. I mean, the service lasted an hour, and then they had a free praise after the service. And for sometimes up to 2 hours, you did nothing but stand there and praise the Lord.
Amen.
And sometimes you could even smell the roses in the winter. It was unbelievable. My wife never thought she'd get me in there. But anyway, she had some problems, and we were praying for her one day there, and I had my hand on her shoulder. And I had this hand up in the air. And we were praying, and all of a sudden, it was like a 30-06 went off in this here in my shoulder pop. And I told her, I said, did you hear that? She said, hear what? I said, you didn't hear that? She said, no. I said, oh, my shoulder just got healed.
Yeah.
I'm praying for her. My my shoulder got to get a step.
Hallelujah.
And from then on, they didn't have to wear a t-shirt. So about 2.5 weeks later, now listen to this, Bev. About 2.5 weeks later, I woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning, and my shoulder was aching so bad I could hardly stand it. And I knew that I'd been healed 2 weeks before. So I voiced it out loud, verbally, dark, 2 o'clock in the morning. Nobody listened. And I said, in the name of Jesus Christ, I said, Satan, I said, get out of there. I said, I'm healed. And that pain left right now.
Amen.
Never had to wear a t-shirt again. That same church I was there. And this is for you, Kelly. You know it's coming. I'm not picking on you. You're bigger than me. I was outside the church having my cigarette before service. And all of a sudden, a stranger come out of the church, come down the steps, and he came right up to me. And he said, you shouldn't be smoking. Well, I knew I shouldn't be smoking. I'm a Christian, and you know, I mean, it's So he said, why don't you ask the Lord to take the desire away? And he turned right around and he went back up the stairs and into the church. So I finished my cigarette. And I went into church, and during the free praise, I've got my hands up, I'm praising the Lord, you know, and cigarettes come to mind. So I'm thinking this all the time. Okay, Lord, I know I shouldn't be smoking, but I don't really want to quit. So I said, if you want me to quit, you take the desire away. And I went back into free praising. Well, all that week, I smoked my pack every day till Friday afternoon came. And Friday afternoon, I come down with this crud, and I lit a cigarette, and I never tasted anything so bad in all my life. And Saturday and Sunday, I had this crud. I woke up Monday morning. The crud was gone, and I've never desired a cigarette since. Okay, when we were first starting to come down here to Arizona, my mother was down here, and my dad had died, and my brother lived up in Superior, and he wanted me to come down and help him build a little duplex so we could get the mother from Mesa out to Superior. Anyway, so we got in our Winnebago, and we came down, and we were driving down Route 15 out of Montana, in Montana, towards Idaho. About 10 o'clock in the evening, and there was this big bang. And I looked up, and about 50 yards down the road, there was a turnoff, and there was a building there. And the building it was paved, asphalted around, and there was a yard light out there, and it was on. So I was able to just whip in there and get underneath that light and survey the situation, and I got underneath the motorhome and found out that I got a big 4-inch hole in the side of my muffler. And that was all the problem was. So I knew I could continue on to the next place safely and get my repairs done. Well, that was 18 years ago. We've driven that road. We go up to Idaho just about every year, so I know we've driven that road at least 6 times, if not more. And every time we drive that road, we look for that house, that building in the asphalt with the light on it. And we've never, ever been able to find it. Did an angel put that out there so we could pull in and see that we're safe to continue on our journey? Like Pastor says, I don't know. And then I got to thinking, what about that guy that come out of the church, came down the steps, come up to me, a stranger, told me not ask the Lord, quit smoking. Was that an angel? I don't know.
Amen.
Thank you, Lord.
I'd like to have all of you guys repeat after me. My walk talks. My talk talks. But my walk talks more than my talk talks.
Amen.
Nice.
Thank you. God bless you.